Hey everybody, we are so excited to have you here for the first ever US Programs digital event. And you know what? It's not only our first ever digital event, it's our first ever Irish focus event. So ladies in Ireland, we are so excited to have you here, and we just can't wait for all today has to hold. We're gonna have workshops, interactive sessions, chances for you guys to meet other individuals from Ireland, which is going to be phenomenal, mentors, and so much more. And I'm just so excited. So to introduce myself, I am Victoria Zibike. I'm the founder of the US Program. So we originally started in London, UK, 4 years ago with our first event called She Who Leads. And since then, we've had so many different events, all under the theme of She Who, and we're now bringing it to She Who Discovers here today. And essentially today, we want you to understand that you can discover how more about yourself. And as you're on this journey and thinking about where do I want to go and what does my path look like, this today essentially will be a stepping stone to help you in that journey of discovering yourself. Because when I was growing up, I struggled to have role models who could show me the path or help me with in my self-discovery. And it was difficult, and I always wanted to make sure that I would provide that hope when I could for other girls. So we've been able to help over 700 girls here today, and having you here is going to be super exciting because we can now continue that journey with helping and supporting more girls, and not only those in the UK, in the Republic of Ireland as well, which is phenomenal. And we just want to show you that you can achieve and you can thrive, and as you're in this process of discovering, regardless of where you are and your struggles or the things that you're facing, that you can do anything that you really put your mind to. So as I said before, there's going to be so much happening today, and we're really excited to have you here. We're excited that you signed up to your sessions already, and you've probably read your emails and know exactly what session and the times that everything is happening. But there's one thing that I really do want to leave you with and help you understand is that at times it may be overwhelming. You may feel like, wow, I've got so much to do and so much to learn, this is too much. Let me just mute myself and click out. You ain't gonna do that. You're gonna just take it calm and understand that nothing is built in a day. Beyonce wasn't built in a day. So we are not expecting you to leave today and fully fleshed and fully changed. No, you are at the beginning of your journey, and the fact that you have gone out of bed today and you are clicking on to this shows that you are going to achieve so many great things, and you're going to go on and do many incredible things. So I would say, don't be overwhelmed. Understand that today essentially it's a seed, and as you learn more and you discover more and you develop more, you're planting that seed. As you plant that seed more, it will grow into something, a great big tree. But that takes time, sometimes 20, 30, 40 years. So do not rush, and just know that today is really the start of a great new journey in helping you discover more about yourself. So we're so excited. I hope you have such an incredible day, and yeah, enjoy yourself. And now I would like to introduce our next segment. So nice speaking to you girls. I'm so excited for this.
Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to the She Who Discovers Us program. My name is Penda O'Donoghue, and I am the head of sales for the Middle East and Africa teams here in Google Ireland. And what that means is I lead a team who work with our advertisers in those markets and help them improve their digital advertising. I say that because quite often I get asked, what exactly does that mean? I'm from Zimbabwe originally, and I've lived in Dublin now for 18 years and worked with Google for 15 of those years, which I'm sure probably seems like a bit of a lifetime for some of you. When I was told about this program, I thought it is such a brilliant idea, and what a fantastic example of that black girl magic we've been talking so much about over the last year or so. A really great program. When I reflect on my career journey, there are a few lessons I've certainly learned along the way, and I'd like to share a few of the lessons with you in the hope that you might be able to pick up a couple of nuggets as I talk. I've been working for over 20 years, so hopefully some of this might resonate or at least help you at some point. Now, firstly, I'd encourage you all not to shy away from new opportunities. Discover some new ones. You will sometimes have to leave your comfort zone to do so, and you may often find that you're the only one that looks like you in the room as well at times. But don't let that be a deterrent for you. I was the only Black woman in my team when I started in Google, and to this day, I'm the only Black female manager on our Dublin site. This, as you can imagine, meant that quite early on, I learned not to look for someone like me to draw inspiration from. So I had to do quite a bit of self-inspiration, and you might have to do the same. Now, while Ireland is becoming a lot more cosmopolitan, you may often find that in a work environment, you are the only woman of colour or the only person of colour in that situation. And I'd encourage you not to stand back, but instead stand out, because your opinions, as you know, are super valid and you're bringing a really unique perspective into a lot of conversations. Next, don't mentally limit yourself. Now, when I applied to Google in 2005, the company was relatively new in Ireland, and I was coming from a totally different field at the time. I was working in research. I had, however, gotten quite bored in my old job, and I was keen to find something new, because I'd felt I'd hit a ceiling in terms of progression or promotion. And it was then as I looked across the internet and I saw a job ad, and it basically said, "Do you like the internet?" And I soon found out that the job was for Google. Now, I thought it'd be a pretty cool place to work, but I didn't have an engineering degree. I didn't have computer science behind me either. But when I looked at the job spec and I decided that actually I ticked a lot of these boxes, I studied super hard and prepared so much for that interview and told myself that if it didn't work out, at least I'd made an effort and I'd given it my best shot. And it worked out. Did a girl from Zimbabwe all those years ago think that she'd be working for one of the biggest companies in the world? Definitely not then. But once I decided that actually, you know what, I had to have a bit of self-belief, it did work out. And I'm so glad I took that big step and didn't limit myself because of, the fact that I didn't have an engineering degree or computer science background. My next point is around the power of planning. Now, it's a skill that I didn't fully appreciate until I was quite well into my career, and I now started having more thought out ideas around where I wanted to take my career journey. I've now started thinking about 5 years ahead, and what I look at is, what are the skills, what are the experiences, what are the things that I need to do to prepare myself to get my ideal job or my destination role that is going to come up hopefully over the next few years. And so planning is really important. The next thing is to always look for growth opportunities and also gravitate towards people who will help you grow. Over the years, some of my most transformative experiences and conversations have been with amazing mentors, people who really pushed me to think differently, so to look at something in a new way, or encouraged me not to miss out on an opportunity. I remember not being overly keen to try out a short-term job opportunity that was over in London. It was in a marketing team and in a different location, and I had a mentor who challenged me on why I wouldn't. I had lots of reasons why I wouldn't, and one of them was potentially not having a job when I came back to Dublin. It was actually a really huge risk for me. My mentor had me weigh out the pros and cons of the problem, and I ended up going for it. I was so pleased I did, as the role allowed me to take on a stretch project that really gave me some new skill sets and helped me be a much stronger candidate for a management position that I applied for when I got back to Dublin. So it all worked out. I stretched myself, and I'm so glad I did. I'm a huge fan of mentorship, and over the years I've had male mentors, female mentors, as well as mentors of different races and backgrounds, and it's been a really beneficial experience for me. And I hope that you will all have similar experiences and embrace mentorship as much as I have. Now, on that note, I'll summarize by reminding you of sort of 3 things that I've touched on. Discover new opportunities, try and plan for where you want to get to, and look for opportunities to grow and leverage those mentors. On that note, I wish you all the very best with the rest of the program, and I wish you all the best of luck with everything that you choose to do.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're well and hope you are excited and all those good stuff. My name is Michelle, and I'm going to be leading just a quick icebreaker session, but it'll be more like just a run through the day. Sorry, and we do want this to be as virtually interactive as possible. So if you run through any problems or if you run into anything that you find interesting, please tag us and please DM us on Instagram. We're really hoping to hear from you. So guys, do make sure to keep in touch and keep proactive. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Hello, everybody. This might be an interesting slide to see, but it's because usually if I were asked to work on a Saturday, I would be quite the grumpy cat. But I read all the reasons that you shared about why you wanted to be here today, and I was truly inspired by them. So I wanted to say thank you for being here, and thank you also for sharing your reasons why you wanted to be here. They're fantastic. So my name is Kat. I work at Google, and I'm going to tell you a bit today about what happened in the time from when I was around your age to the age that I am now, and share some lessons that I learned along the way. All right, so it all started in this very small place called Bastardstown. And the reason why I shared this slide, it's not a plug for a Google product for our Google Maps. It's to show you that there is such a place that exists called Bastardstown. That's where I was born and raised, and I went to the local school in County Wexford in the southeast of Ireland. And that's where I developed a love of mathematics. So much like Lindsay Lohan in the amazing film Mean Girls, I was a mathlete. And so this meant that every Saturday I used to hop on the bus to Dublin and I would participate in training for the Maths Olympics, if you can believe that there is such a thing. And believe it or not, when I was a teenager, this wasn't perceived as being very cool. So even though I loved it, a lot of my friends used to kind of make fun of me for it. And that's the first lesson that I learned that I wanted to share with you today. It does not matter what other people think. In fact, what other people think about you, technically, it's none of your business. So don't put any pass on what anybody else says. And if I had listened to those people who told me that studying mathematics wasn't cool, then I probably wouldn't be here talking to you all today about how great it is to work in tech. So be sure not to put any pass on what other people think. All right, so I finished up then in secondary school. And when I got my Leaving Cert results, so the Leaving Cert results, it leads to this CAO point system, which is like the UCAS system in the UK. So I got my results from my end of school exams, and I was actually really disappointed to learn that I would be studying mathematics, even though I loved it. So it wasn't my first choice. And so, I was a bit sad when I opened my Leaving Cert results. And that's my second lesson for you today. You're going to meet obstacles along the way. You're going to be told no, you're going to maybe fail some exams, and you might go for job interviews and be told that you're not the right person for the job. I know that I've certainly encountered all of those things along the way, and it's not important that I encountered those things. What is important is that I drove through all of them and I made the most of what I had. So while I wasn't particularly excited to be studying mathematics, I still brushed myself off and encountered a 4-year degree in Dublin, and it turned out to be okay in the end. So I studied that there for 4 years in University College Dublin, and it was pretty tough, and I continued to encounter obstacles and hurdles along the way. And so when I finished studying, I got a job in what they say is the most amazing place in the world to work. And would you believe it's not Google? It's in fact this place. So this is Moore's Irish Bar in Madrid. So when I finished studying, I worked very, very hard at university. And I thought, you know what, if I see one more book, I think my brain is going to explode. So I thought I'm going to take a year out and go and get some life experience. So I interviewed to work in this pub in lovely Madrid in Spain. And I got the job, and they said, congratulations, you start on Friday. And I thought, well, this is fantastic news. I'm going to have a great time now in Spain working in this pub. And the slight problem was I didn't speak Spanish and I'd never worked in a pub before. So I had 3 days to learn Spanish and also learn how to pull a pint. So I really leaned on the magic of Google and YouTube to teach me those valuable skills. And that's my third lesson for you all. that if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. And if not, just fake it till you make it. All right. So I spent my year then in Madrid, and I came back then to Dublin, and I got a job in an insurance company selling insurance. And if I'm totally honest, it was quite boring. It certainly did not set my world on fire. But you know what? I still worked really, really hard. And there was a guy that worked on my floor whose wife worked in Google, and he got to see that I was a hard worker and thought, you know what, maybe I should recommend to my wife that she interview this girl for an upcoming role at Google. And so that's my fourth lesson for you all, to work really, really hard, and that a strong work ethic will get you so far. So if you're in school, make sure that you work really, really hard in school. If you're at university, make sure that you work super hard at university. And of course, then when you come to get a job, I think we all know where this is going now, make sure that you work really, really hard when you eventually do go to work. And so I thought, you know what, I am never going to get a job at Google. I've heard all these amazing things. And similarly to what Pendo just said, I thought that it just wasn't for me, that I wouldn't have a hope, that I wouldn't be clever enough, or I wouldn't be good enough to get this job. And so I thought, well, do you know what? I'll go to an interview just so I can have a look at the offices. So there's some pictures here of our Dublin office. I'd heard that these offices are super cool. So along I went for my interview just to have a look at the offices, to be honest. And in that interview, I talked about my love of numbers and that strong work ethic. And I absolutely could not believe it when I got the job. I honestly did not expect it at all, but I was, needless to say, absolutely delighted. So my first job at Google was something that looked a little bit like this. I was an assistant to a sales director, and that basically means that I did a million things a minute all day. And it was super, super fun. And you might think, well, that doesn't have much to do with a mathematics degree. But that mathematics degree actually was a fantastic grounding for me, and it allowed me to make this job exactly what I wanted it to be. And I was also able to showcase my different talents and my love of data and my love of numbers. And so that's my fifth and final lesson for you today, that STEM subjects are a brilliant grounding for any job in tech. And you might not believe me, and that's totally fine. But if you don't believe me, I'm about to prove you wrong. So you know that my first job was as an assistant. I then from there stayed at Google and went on to another role in the sales team. So again, the same team that Pendo works on. And on that team, I was working with gaming companies. So I used to work with them on their YouTube and their Google ad campaigns. It was a super fun role. I learned tons. I absolutely loved it. And it was just really, really cool. But again, you'll see that it was quite different to that first job I had as an assistant. Right. And so again, hearing that message that a grounding in STEM is really good for tons and tons of options in tech. And that brings me on now to my current job, which is, again, a huge jump into another organization. And I currently work in finance at Google. And so my job in Google now is to look at all the money that we spend on events throughout the world and try and save the company some money. And unfortunately, I'm doing a little too fantastic of a job at the moment because we can't run any events with COVID. But of course, still having loads and loads of fun. So you'll see that I have had 3 really, really different jobs without even having to change companies. And all of them, again, have that one thing in common. So that's that a grounding in STEM is a huge plus, and it helped me along the way for each of those 3 roles. So I'm going to wrap up now and just reiterate those 5 lessons that I learned along the way with you all. So 1, it doesn't matter what other people think about you. You do you, and the rest will be fine. Number 2, you will meet obstacles. You will encounter rejection. You might fail some exams. You might get no's for job interviews. It probably will happen to all of us, but drive through all these obstacles and just make the most of the situation that you're in, of what you have, and be grateful for everything that you have. Number 3, thinking about me trying to learn Spanish in 3 days. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything. And if not, just fake it till you make it. And then my 4th one, my 4th top tip is to work hard at everything that you do, because that strong work ethic will really carry you through your career. And lastly, that those STEM subjects are a brilliant grounding for any job in tech. And also, don't worry if you don't know what you want to do right now for your future career. You'll see that I jumped around lots of different jobs. Just do what you love and stick with what you're good at. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you all have an amazing afternoon. And that's me done.
So now, guys, we'll be having the workshops, which you've already signed up to. Make sure you have your notepad and your pen out. I don't have that, but make sure you do. And enjoy this. See you soon. Bye.
Hi everyone. I hope you're all having a good day and enjoying She Who Discovers 2020. My name is Talushe and I am joining you from a very cloudy Dublin. So it's nice to be speaking to you all today. I'm going to be introducing you to a great panel of us program managers who I'll be bringing on in just a second. But really, we wanted you to use this time as a time to learn from the three people up we'll be bringing on about their journey with the US program and the value they've gotten from it. A little bit of background to myself. My name is Talushe. I am a retail account manager in Google. So I work with retailers. If you think of the South African versions, for example, of Tesco and Duns and ASOS, I work with South African companies, making sure they get the most out of their Google Ads strategy. And if you'd asked me in college if I was going to be working in Google, working with advertisers, I'd have said definitely not, because I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was in college. But I was really lucky to have a number of formal and informal mentors who really helped me realize my potential, helped me figure out what I wanted to do as the next stage, even if I didn't know what I wanted to do long term. So that's why I'm really happy to have three of the US program team with us today to tell us about their story with the US program, to tell us how this amazing project came to be, and really show us the value this program has given them in both their personal and their professional journeys. So before they come on, I just want to let you know that you guys are definitely free to ask your own questions. So if you have any questions, or if you think of any questions, just pop them in the chats in the YouTube live feed, and we'll ask them. So when I kick off with my own questions, do ask your own as well, and we can share that with the team. So the first person I'd like to introduce from the US program team is Victoria. So we'll bring Victoria on, and she can give a bit of a background to herself. Hi, Victoria. How are you?
Hi, I'm so good.
Great. Could you maybe give us a bit of an intro to yourself, a bit of a background, just so we know who you are?
Yes, of course. So first and foremost, I'm so excited to be here, to having this event.
Great.
Okay, I'm so excited to be here, having this event in Ireland, and essentially, meeting you guys and giving you guys the opportunity to develop and, just understand that regardless of where you are currently now, or what's going on in your life, or the pandemic we're in, which is a bit difficult, that you guys can succeed and do so many incredible things. It's really, really, really excited to be here. I just want to find out where you guys are from as well. So if you can, in the box, I know you guys have been writing some things, just put whereabouts from Ireland you are, because you never know, you may be able to find someone who's also in another part like yourself, and along with maybe one thing that you're hoping to gain from today as well. That would be amazing as well. But really, really excited to be here, and so excited for this panel.
Thank you. Excitement is great. Thank you so much, Victoria. So yes, let's also welcome Hannah, who is also on the US program team. She leads the Birmingham side of everything. So hi, Hannah, how are you?
Hello, everyone. So I'm Hannah. I'm a current accounting and finance student at Warwick University. And I'm so excited for this session today, and to really get to share my story, and also hear from all the rest of the team as well. So thank you so much.
Okay, great. Nice to meet you, Hannah. And then last but not least, we have Daniela, who's also joining us and who leads the school initiative. So hi, Daniela, how are you?
Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing? Nice to meet you all, especially the girls. I'm really excited for this, to meet you all. I'm head of the school initiatives for the US program. I'm also head of Manchester. Like everyone knows, I'm Daniela, I'm 19, and I got involved with the program in 2016, but I joined the team member side in last year.
Great. Thank you so much for that background, Daniela. Lovely to meet you all. So I think I'll kick off with the questions. I think it'd be great for us to understand, how you guys got involved in the US program, because it's such an amazing project, and I've been reading about it the past couple of days, and I'd love to understand from each of you how you all got involved in it. So maybe Victoria, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Loving where everyone is coming from. First and foremost, super, super excited. We have a lot of Dublin, Cork. So this is really, really great, guys. So essentially, I am born and brought up in Islington, London. So you guys know, London, big city, but like yeah, growing up, I came from a very, very wealthy background. So I lived on a cancer estate majority of my life, but always, and we didn't have loads growing up. And I always wanted to find ways, you know, succeed and do so many great things, but just didn't have the resources or the money. And it was, I think it really hit me when I went uni, when I realized that, whoa, like there is like the world is so much bigger than from, you know, my small borough. And it was there when I met so many people who were not like me, who didn't, you know, have the same background. And I started to really feel like a super, super, super small fish in a big pond, just like struggling to relate to people, struggling to relate to their experiences. And yeah, I really struggled a lot. And I thought to myself, if I'm struggling like this, I don't think I will probably be the only young girl who, you know, will be struggling or going through the same things that I'm going through. So, you know what? I want to create like a safe haven for girls who are like myself, who, you know, maybe you don't have a role model or you don't have a mentor or you don't know, you know, you have so many dreams and ambition. Like I read so many of your application and I know so many of you guys have ambitions, but you struggle and you don't know where to go or who to ask for help. So essentially we want to, you know, that safe haven. So that came through all my life experiences of uni, growing up, you know, the conversations I've had. And that's why I really wanted to start this program. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's actually really inspiring. Thank you, Victoria. And thank you for starting the program, because I hope then lots of other girls can actually benefit from this and actually have, I guess, a pool of mentors they can go to, you know, to figure out what they want to do going forward. So yeah, maybe Hannah, could you let us know why you decided to get involved with the US program?
Yeah, of course. I think mine has like a sort of a story leading on from Victoria. So Victoria went to Warwick University and essentially did a very similar degree to me. And at my interview day, I saw her there, and she really allowed me to open my eyes to the possibilities that that are out there, and also the opportunities as well, and the fact that going to Warwick is very attainable for me. And she was like, yes, come to Warwick. You've got the potential. And she really believed in me, and that allowed me to get into Warwick. And so from that, I followed the US program on Instagram, and I said I really wanted to go to She Who Leads. So there was an event in Birmingham for She Who Leads, and there I got the opportunity to volunteer, which was really amazing and unexpected as well. And from then on, I also got the chance to become the head of Birmingham, thanks to Victoria and also Dan herself. So it's been an amazing journey, and it's been amazing. So that's how I got involved.
Great. It's good then that you met Victoria and have been able to kind of go on this journey with her as well. So thank you for sharing that. And from you, Daniela, why did you decide to get involved in the US program?
I got involved with the US program in year 11. I still remember when Victoria came to my school to give an assembly about her second event, and I found her really inspirational. I thought, wow, this is someone I can look up to. She also went to the same school, so that was more of a reason to kind of get involved with the program. Also, the aim of the program, the goals that I knew she had, and she also portrayed in every word she said, it also inspired me to literally sign up, go to every event, which I did, and I found each of them like literally amazing. It taught me a lot, and especially having someone like Victoria you can talk to, and she's like a mentor to me. That also kind of inspired me to be involved with the program, and especially because I came in 2013 to the UK with no knowledge of English, so I was quite lost. And when it comes to school, there's not much resources, especially for foreign students. So I knew that Victoria could help me succeed academically and professionally as well.
Yeah, and it's great now that you're also giving back then to the US program and to the other girls as well, and kind of paying it forward as well. So thank you all for being on the program team and for leading this amazing project. So we've got some great questions already in the chat box. So if you haven't put a question in, please do put them in. But one of the questions we've been asked is, how did you make spare time outside of school with homework and study, I guess, for the US program? So maybe do one of you want to answer that and let us know how you made that time between school and study and this project.
Yeah, I can hear that going. I can run with that. So this actually links very well to like our question that we prepared, which is like one piece of advice we would give to everybody watching this. And for me, I put explore any of your passions, projects, anything you're super interested in now. Like now is the time. I know I've seen in the chat box someone said, I'm interested in YouTube. Like I have a YouTube page, or some of you guys like reading, writing, blogging. You could love watching Netflix all day long. Like you could literally start a blog on that. But essentially, I would say now that you are living at home and you have a lot of free time after school, and we're in a global pandemic, let's not forget about that. This is the perfect opportunity, guys, to really think. Like sit down whenever you have some time over the next few weeks. Like, what am I good at? Like, what's my strength? And what can I be doing in my spare time to pursue that and to learn something else? So essentially, to answer the question, how do I balance school and working on different opportunities? I would definitely say take some time, from your schedule, spend 20 minutes to an hour every day building and working on that. And before you know it, you would have already developed so much and learned so many new skills.
Thank you, Victoria. I think you're definitely right. It is a thing of carving out even just a little bit of time every day, and that just adds up over the week. So definitely go for that. Another question we've been asked is, what is the one thing that you found most difficult about moving on from school to college? So I don't know, Hannah, maybe do you want to take that question?
Yeah, of course. So the jump, as a lot of people say, from going from upper sixth form to university was definitely very different for me, especially because in terms of the social aspect, I hadn't moved out of home before that, so that was a change in itself. But very quickly, I was able to adapt to the new environment, and also because I really love meeting new people, my housemates or my flatmates were really nice. So that really helped me to integrate with their new environment and making a lot of connections. So in that way, I was able to overcome that. But also on the academic side, before it was more or less, as a lot of people say, you have homework at school and you have to do that by a certain deadline. But at university, there's no, obviously you have an incentive to do your work because your degree matters at the end of it. But beforehand, so for example, in first year, I did a foundation year, there's no one necessarily chasing you up or asking you for your piece of work. It's on to you to deliver and to accomplish. So although that wasn't really much of a difficult much of a transition, because I always like to do my work on time, because I've always had that kind of thought process or understanding. But for a lot of people, and as also myself at the very start, that was quite difficult to assimilate, definitely.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's always a jump for everyone. I think everyone finds it difficult at the beginning when there's no one chasing you for homework. But for me, I think keeping a diary with all of my deadlines really, really helped. And that's what I used to kind of stay on track. Another question that we have is someone saying that they're a young person from a disadvantaged area and they'd also like to be successful when they get older. And they want to know from you guys, where do you suggest that they potentially get a job for a good start? I don't know if any of you have anything to add to that question.
Daniela, I think you should answer that.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Okay, so that's certainly a little bit unexpected. I think it depends on like what your definition of being successful is. I think in today's society, there's a lot of definitions. So it's literally up to you how you want to be successful. If you want to be successful academically, I think don't work hard, work smart, which is something I've learned because I work so hard that I literally came to a point when I literally experienced burnout. And I think that kind of burnout kind of affected my university journey, because I went to university. I went for a few weeks and I went to the most amazing university that I could ever have dreamed. I literally dreamt of going there. And when I went there, I think I kind of experienced that burnout that I experienced from sixth form. So I literally said to myself, okay, so what's wrong with me, or what's wrong with my environment? And that's the point where I literally said to myself, well, what's the point of being successful? Is university really for me? And I know there's a lot of young people nowadays that do really think, is university my career path, or should I choose maybe apprenticeships, or should I do something else? And when it came to university and literally deciding should I drop out or not, I knew that my mental health is more important than anything that you may consider successful or society. So at the moment, I'm literally with the AS program. I'm so happy because we do so many amazing things. And I've learned so many valuable things that I could have learned at university. But I know so many people that are applying for university or are in university can apply as well. So at the moment, I'm kind of looking at other options. I'm still a little bit quite confused about what I want to be in the future, because that was a little bit as well what happened with my university course. But I'm still looking at the options that I still got to choose from.
I think that's so great, Daniela, and definitely success is not a one size fits all. It looks different for everyone, and mental health is far more important than any job or even going to university. So good on you. And a great question that we have here is, should introverts feign being outgoing, or so should they pretend to be outgoing, or should we be our own identity? So should introverts try to be outgoing, or should they just, be introverts? Anyone want to answer that?
I can take that because one of the things I put down for another piece of advice I would say to my younger self is just to be you and to be you. I think introverts, there are so many. When you look at there's so many things online. You can look at the pros and cons for an extrovert, introvert, and I'm not sure if it's time for the middle. But essentially, there's pros and cons to everything, and I don't think anyone should feel like they should adjust themselves to be something that they're not. Like if you are an introvert, I would say maybe look and see where are the strengths, what are your strengths with that, and what can you develop and what can you do differently. But do not try to change yourself. I think we are in a society where so much is thrown at us, from social media to our friends to our parents, so many different people telling us so many different things on how we should be, what we should do. And I don't think we take enough time to think what do I want to do, and be okay with ourselves. So I would definitely say, do not change. If you are an introvert, extrovert, embrace who you are, and understand that it's okay. It's absolutely okay. There's a job or a career or different things that will accept you for who you are. So do not adjust. What's the saying? There's so many. Why be a copy when you were born? I don't know what the saying is, but essentially, you don't need to be nothing that you're not. So no,
yeah.
I don't think so.
Exactly. I definitely agree with that. Thank you, Victoria. You said it really well. So someone wants to know, is there any habits or hobbies that you do now that you wish you'd started doing earlier? I think you're thinking of one, Hannah.
I don't know, because the term has only started in terms of now, and there's not much in-person events to do and everything. But I'd say, so for example, last year, so I'll add in terms of talking from last year, the kind of the hobby or what I got involved in was something that I'd always wanted to do for a very long time but I'd put off. So I came to the UK as a child refugee, and I have this very incredible story, as a lot of people would say. But so because of that, I've always wanted to help people from that kind of background or people who have struggled. But I've always felt like my story isn't powerful enough, or it's not big enough for me to do anything or give back in a certain way. But I got the chance to lead a project and help go to a local secondary school and kind of do an activity day where people get to get immersed in different cultures and have an understanding of people that have these kind of backgrounds, and especially refugees, because there's quite a lot of opinions or judgment on refugees. And I really wanted to kind of demystify that. So I think I've always wanted to do that, and I feel like I should have done this a long time ago when I got the deputy head role or back in secondary school. But that was the incredible experience, but also hobby that I really do wish I could have started earlier. But I'm glad that I got to do.
Yeah, I think that's really great. And I think everyone always thinks, they don't have a story to tell. But I think just because it's your story, I think it's powerful enough anyway. So you're definitely never too young, or it's never too early to start telling people your story, because different people get different things out of that. So it's always great to share your story. So thank you for that, Hannah. Another question, another question we have is, do you have any advice for young girls to find mentors or work experience in Ireland?
Yeah, so I would say when it comes to finding mentors or finding work experience is really difficult at the moment, obviously because we're in a pandemic. But I would say LinkedIn. If I know some of you guys in the chat may not, on this call conversation may not know how to use LinkedIn or what LinkedIn is. And I would definitely say write this word down, LinkedIn, and research it, look up later. And essentially, it's just like an Instagram or a Facebook for professional. So if you have some kind of idea of like a career you want to go into, I would definitely say look at LinkedIn to find people in your different industries or different places to work with, essentially, and to message them and see if they have any opportunities. But also, I would say Instagram is a great place. So many of the speakers that you'll hear from today, they're on Instagram, and you can DM them and ask them, what's one thing you wish you knew when you were my age? What's one thing I should be doing at my age? And I think it's just looking for ways to be proactive. YouTube as well, look at tips on YouTube on like how to get a work experience in a global pandemic. So yeah, I would say there's use LinkedIn, use Instagram, use YouTube, and be creative. Maybe this is a time for you to pursue a side hustle that you've always been passionate about, start a blog, or even invest in yourself through reading more, looking for extra ways to volunteer online. Try and see this as a way just to like build up your CV and creative brainstorm as well.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Victoria. And can't believe time has flown already. So we just have time for one last question. And I think a good question to finish up on is, I've seen a couple of questions with the girls asking, how can someone get involved and support the US program, especially around helping others as well, and maybe volunteering to get experience with the US program? Do you want to finish up on that?
Yeah, so I think we always love it when, after our sessions or after our events, girls come back to us and say, you know what, Victoria, I want to be involved. I want to, know more about the US program. So I would definitely say make sure you're following us on Instagram, send us an email afterwards if you're interested in, being an ambassador or supporting more of our work. And yeah, just stay tuned. We'll be in Ireland soon for a real life event as well. It will be really nice, but there's going to be just so many more opportunities. And yeah, really do enjoy the rest of today, guys. Ask questions, exchange TikToks, Insta, Snap. See this as an opportunity to meet girls in your city and your country.
Yeah, thank you so much to Daniela and Hannah and Victoria. This was great. I've definitely learned a lot. I hope you girls online have as well. And thank you so much for joining us. So right now we're going to go back to Victoria, who's going to take us through, meeting someone new, which I think is going to be very exciting as well. So stay on for that. But thank you very much to Daniela, Hannah and Victoria for this. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
So quickly, guys, so what we're going to do now, because we really want to give you guys the opportunity to meet other girls, like I said, in your country, Ireland. And I think it's so essential for you guys to, start to build these networks with each other and this sisterhood around each other. So what we've done is we've have a session called Meet Someone New, and Grace shortly will be putting in four 4 links, or you would have received it in your email. You would have received the links in your email. There will be 4 links to 4 different sessions that you can join for the next 10 minutes to essentially meet someone new in your city and exchange Instagrams, Snapchats, TikToks, like talk about like what's going on, what are you doing, who you are, and yeah, get to know each other. Obviously, we've been on this for now an hour and a half, I believe. So you also use this session for like a quick 10-minute break and then come back. So whatever works for you, you could join one of the Meet Someone New sections, or you can take a break. But thank you so much, girls. I've loved speaking to you, and I'm going to be quiet now because I'm talking a lot. Thank you.
So now, guys, we have the second part of Mentor Me. So make sure you have your notepad and your pen out. I don't have that, but you should definitely have that. And really do enjoy this part. See you soon. Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentor Me. My name is Dervla, aka Bella Zur, and I am here today and being joined with a fantastic panel of professionals who are going to share some secrets into how they became a success story. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panel. We have first up the lovely Claudia Haro. Welcome, Claudia.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. We will get into introductions very soon, but I'm going to introduce the rest of the panel. So next up we have Becky Hepstenstall.
Hello.
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. And next we have Danny Tangney.
How are you?
Hello, Danny. Welcome. And finally, we have the lovely Tony Adenton.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Great.
Nice to be here.
Brilliant. So we have a full house. We will get cracking. Before I go into introductions, I myself am dying to know a lot more about you. So I'm sure the other girls are as well. But what I will say is we do have some time for Q&A at the end. So everyone out there, if you do have any questions for us, please feel free to pop them in the chat to the right-hand side of where this video is playing right now. And we'll make sure to get to those after we do our fantastic introductions. Okay, so let's get started. What I would love from all of you, and I'm sure you've been thinking about it all night, last night, ahead of our panel discussion today, but what I would love is a quick introduction into yourselves, so we all get to know you a little bit more, and a little bit of advice or key learnings that you've learned along your career to date. I know it's not any way near over, but I'm sure you've picked up some nuggets along the way. So without further ado, if you don't mind, Claudia, we'll start off with your lovely self.
Sure, great, thank you. Okay, so my name is Claudia Haro Gishohe, and I am at the moment consulting as an anti-racism trainer. My background is in diversity and inclusion with a particular focus on anti-racism. So I've been doing this work for about 17 years now. I sit on the board of the Irish Network Against Racism. And yeah, it's kind of been, it's been a slow burn in terms of getting here, partially because this is, the area, the field I work in, I suppose, is an area that people were very resistant to talking about for a long time. So, I'm finally kind of getting through some doors this year that were definitely closed to me in the past, or just where people weren't, were afraid perhaps to explore. Before that, my background is in the arts and human rights, so I'm always creating. I don't think you can get away from that when it's in you. And yeah, just working before this, as I said, worked in the not-for-profit sector for several years. In terms of advice, I think I was thinking about this actually, right, last night. I'm not sure if we'll get to come to this later, but I think one of the things that I learned the hard way, and a lot of people might disagree with me on, is not to fake it till you make it. I think the idea of faking it till I made it actually put a lot of anxiety and pressure on me. And actually, what helped a lot was stopping and asking for help, and acknowledging that I didn't have to know how to do everything really, really well. I could learn, and I didn't have to pretend that I knew how to do it really, really well. I could learn and I could ask for help. And also the value of taking a step back and taking a break. I think those two things have been pivotal for me so far.
That's amazing, Claudia. And I couldn't agree more, because I love the fake it till you make it, because it has some substance in that, like, take on a challenge and, don't, feel the fear and do it anyway. But I love the ask questions. Like, don't be afraid to put your hand up. Don't be afraid that, to admit that you may not know it all. Because people are surprisingly out there to help you more so than hinder you. So I love that. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So we'll move on to Becky.
Yes, hi. So my name is Becky Heptingstall, and I look after communications for Google Ireland. And that usually means that I'm making things like videos and, writing emails, and I'm prepping people to do speaker ops. So it's very weird for me to be on the other side of the camera here. But prior to Google, I worked at the Financial Times for about 5 years, and also the Guardian. So you might be thinking, she obviously went to a really good university, or, she had a leg up in the industry. And actually, I'm from a really working class background. For those of you who are dialing in from England, you'll be able to detect a very Yorkshire accent here. My dad was an engineer, and my mum didn't work because she was at home with me and my sister. So, I grew up in an environment where you kind of went to school and then you left and had babies, and that was kind of it. And, I was really naughty at school. I was talking all the time. I was very disruptive. I was really just there for the laugh. And, I didn't think for a minute I was going to end up working at any of these companies, let alone end up at Google. But I think there's a few things that have helped me along the way. And one is having really good mentors. I had a couple of great bosses in my career, and they've been really strong women who've given me some tough feedback. And I think it stood me in such good stead. They were tough to work for, but I learned a huge amount. And, that got me to Google, which is really a feedback culture. So you've got to be able to take things on the chin and really learn from them. And then also, I learned early on that I was really good at relationships. So I've always used my network a ton. And as long as I've worked in marketing or communications, I've always got a job through my network. I got the job at Google through my network. I got the job at the Financial Times through my network. And I've always really tried to not trade down when I was moving jobs. So from the FT, I was like, well, it's got to be better than the FT. And, now I'm in Google, I feel like they're stuck with me, and, I'm not going anywhere. And then the final thing that I just wanted to say was about confidence. And I know it's not as easy as just saying, be confident and it's, okay then. But more, it's fine to be scared, but doing things anyway. And you already alluded to this, Deirdre. But, apply for the job that you're underqualified for. Ask for the pay rise, because, men do this all the time. And as women, we often feel like we're not smart enough, or we're not posh enough, or, I'm too loud, I'm too silly, and just really like own who you are and woman up.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Like those three really key pieces of advice there. Networking, I can't recommend it enough. My jobs exactly came from networks as well. So someone who knew someone who knew someone, it always leads you places. And I absolutely agree. Like even every job that I got, I always looked for a different skill that I could learn in that job. So love that. And then confidence, of course, it's a no-brainer. Believe in yourself. Thank you so much for that. Danny, we move on to yourself.
Yeah, I suppose that so I have a different probably path in. There's a theme coming through there, and I'm probably going to talk you through this with my own background. So I head up solution architecture within the customer engineering for the SMB, so small and medium businesses for Google Cloud. Here about a year. Before that, I was in Amazon Web Services, where I ran a number of support engineering teams for about 5 years. Before that, it was with Vodafone. So I started off in telco as an engineer, worked my way up to management roles, and moved across into the cloud. I suppose in terms of things that have stuck with me and key pieces of advice, it's an advice I give to all the engineers and managers that I've managed, it is to ask the questions. And I say this, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. I says, you need to be confident. You need to ask questions. If you don't ask, I says you're never going to learn, and you're likely to make a mistake. Also, Becky mentioned about the network. So I'm naturally an introvert. So I have to work at building relationships. But it's very, very important. I mean, every role that I've ever had in my career have all come through my network. People that have reached out to me about roles that are coming up. And it kind of ties into being purposeful about what you're doing. So it's being cognizant not only of what you're doing, but how you're going to do it. And the how is really, really important, that, you know, because that really ties into the softer skills that you actually need to do to make things move. Who you're engaged with, and, you know, why. You know, the why are you doing this? And that allows you to build momentum to kind of repeat the same exercise and to grow and to learn as you move on. And when I think back over my career, I was thinking about this for today. I suppose in some ways I've been lucky that I've had female leaders right from the start of my career. So my first role as an intern with a telecom, the radio engineering director was female. Got a lot of good advice that actually set me on my path. My first manager when I graduated college was female in a telco in Ireland. And even my last leader in AWS was also female. And again, you know, we stay in contact, get a lot of really good advice, especially with Google, how I'm, you know, looking to kind of elevate what I've been doing. And I then try to translate that into how I kind of grow and develop my own team.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. I love that. Ask questions. Like, there's no such thing as a bad question. I'm a big believer in that. And finally, over to Tony.
Hi, everyone. So my name's Tony Denson. I am currently an account manager at Facebook. I've been at Facebook for 2 years and switched roles previously from a partner manager. And before I was at Facebook, I was at Mediacom, a media agency. Spent some time at IBM as well. So I've really moved around like the tech and advertising space a lot. But a bit of a background around me. So I grew up in Southeast London to Nigerian parents that were immigrants. So for anyone that had immigrant parents, you know how it is. Like, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an accountant. But I had to figure out early, like, these definitely aren't the routes that I want to go down. So I was very fortunate in terms of I had an older sibling that studied marketing. And really just by chance, I was like, hey, I'm going to do that as well, which led me to a marketing degree at the University of Liverpool. So it was quite an interesting one because I graduated in July, and from July to September, I was still thinking, what am I going to do? There was no graduate role waiting for me. So I didn't actually have any networks at that time. I knew nobody, but I knew that I wanted to be in the tech space or the media space. So I used what I had available to me. I literally jumped on LinkedIn, looked at all the roles, started messaging loads of different people, messaged university recruiters from Facebook. Loads of people didn't reply to me. That's completely fine. That's normal. But one person actually did reply to me, one of the recruiters. And that's actually the story in terms of I was invited to an event. And then from then, I think I was fast-tracked in terms of the application process. But in terms of like building networks for people that are just starting out and don't know anyone, possibly the best advice I'd have is you can really build it on LinkedIn or Twitter. You can connect with people, follow people before connecting if you're not sure if they're going to accept the connection request. But you can start liking their posts, commenting on their posts, send them a hey, thanks for connecting. Before going in with an ask, these are really, really key things that I do now just to start warming up. If I need an ask later on, they already know who you are. So it's not a random person just going in with like a can I have a job? These are really, really nice ways to like warm people up. And in this time that we're in, don't be shy to ask for coffees, virtual coffees. Again, expect loads of no's, maybe no replies, but people are at home. It's a lot less effort to go to a coffee shop as opposed to just being online and asking for 30 minutes of their time. So don't be afraid to use the tools at your disposal. We all have phones, you all have laptops, most of us. So do use that in terms of building a network. I would say there were two pieces of advice that were really, really important for me in my career. The first was when I was at Mediacom. I sat down with our CTO and she asked me actually, I said, I'm quite introverted. It's quite hard for me sometimes to figure out different spaces. And then she said to me, do you feel like introversion is linked with confidence? And then I took a step back and I was just thinking, actually, no, like you can be an introvert and you can be very confident. It shouldn't hinder you from making connections with people, but it just means that the way you connect with people, the way you recharge your energy is a bit different, and that's completely fine, and it's not a hindrance at all. The second piece of advice that was really important for me was from one of my favorites, Michelle Obama, and she was with a group of girls. similar to how we are now. And she was asking them, she was basically saying that what you want to be when you grow up isn't a real question. You can be 30 years old and still have no idea what you want to be when you grow up. When I was in school, the role that I have now at Facebook probably didn't exist, and that's completely fine. The key really is just to stay curious, like figure out what's going on, just open yourselves to new opportunities. It's okay not to have every single thing figured out now, but really just stay curious, talk to people, and enjoy the journey, because that's when you really start to figure out what you like and what you don't like. There's really no end destination. And I think that was important for me because it took a lot of pressure off of just finding my lane and staying in it. And who knows where I'm going to be in 10 years, and that's completely fine. It's exciting. The role I could be in may not exist yet. And yeah, that's actually really fun and exciting for me as well.
I love that. I love that. And it's amazing the fact that the five of us have gathered here today. And I don't know about you, but I can relate to everyone's story, even though our backgrounds are completely different. Our learnings, our pieces of advice, we can totally relate to. And it just goes to show that hearing other people's stories can be so powerful, because it makes you feel a little bit less alone, and makes you feel that, yeah, actually, I felt that way, or I love asking questions, so I don't feel silly for doing it. So the more you can throw yourself into events like this, or even just in your coffee chats, ask questions, get to know another person's story, because it can really, really empower you to go further in your career. I suppose I better introduce myself, seeing as that I'm the elephant in the room, but I won't take up too much time. Obviously, like I said, Dervla is my name, aka Belazur. I also have a lifestyle blog on the side. I call it my little side gig or side hustle. And it grew and grew. And I have a lovely little community over on Instagram. Belazur is the name of it. But to give you a little bit of an insight into my journey, I'm coming up to 5 years at Google, and I work as an advertising consultant for global accounts. Absolutely adore it. But a bit like Tony, if you had to ask me 15 years ago what I was going to be, it would have been a businesswoman with a suit and a briefcase full of money. I had no interest in school. That panicked me a little bit. I really couldn't focus on anything that I loved, that I had like a gra for. That panicked me. How was I going to further my success if I didn't actually enjoy what I was doing in school? I thought that was the be all and end all. So what I decided to do was just focus on my strengths. And that would be my one piece of advice. No matter where you go, like Tony said, the job mightn't even exist. And one of my jobs didn't exist growing up. Definitely can relate to that. But what I would say is focus on your strengths. When I joined Google, they focused on my strengths, and I couldn't believe my luck. I was like, so you just want me to focus on what I'm good at? And they're like, yeah, we want you to excel in what you're good at. You can learn, your challenges and areas that you're not so great at, but we've other people to do those areas. You focus on your strengths and you will be the best version of you. And I adore that. And I think that's something that I wish I knew at 15 to 19. What am I good at? And sometimes it's very hard to know what you're good at, and that's okay. But listen to other people giving you feedback. You're great at talking, or you're great at finding solutions, or I love how you are so organized. Listen to what people say about you, and ask people what they think of your work experience, or the way you are in your soccer team, or the way you are in your class, and get to know what other people think of you. And if it doesn't really match up with what you think you want to be, make sure then that you kind of drive forward more public speaking, or try and become, a better team member, or all of the skills that you want to be good at. Focus on those and let them shine through. That would be my biggest piece of advice. And believe in yourself. I still struggle to believe in myself every day. I think the perception other people have of me is very different to what I have in me. So don't worry about not being 100% confident at a young age, because it is a work in progress. But I promise you, self-confidence, self-love, self-belief will bring you further than any, certificate or degree, or no matter what. But that's my little piece of background. What I would love to do now, if you don't mind, is just answer some of the public questions that some of the girls have put in. There's some fantastic questions coming through, so we'll try to get through them as best we can. So first things first, I love this actually. If you were to go back in time, let me see. Yeah. If you were to go back in time, what would you like to tell your younger self? And I will give that to Becky.
Oh, well, maybe that knot in your stomach that feels like someone's twisting it round and round repeatedly is kind of not normal to have, and it's anxiety. And I didn't know it then, and it's taken me until the age of 37 to realize what that is. And when you know what something is, you can find ways of kind of coping with it and connect with other people who've got similar stories. But I just thought, that's how you feel. So I really try and overcome that now by, making sure that I sleep plenty and also just try and talk about things. So if I'm really analysing myself at something that I've said, I think it's better to actually talk to that person. Or they've said something that's kind of stuck with me. I can go and ponder on it for a couple of hours, and then I'd have to ring them up and be like, you said that thing and I took it this way. Did you actually mean that? And so they're really difficult conversations, but, the less that we, the more that we communicate on these things, the less we carry around with us. And I personally find I have a bit less anxiety, just a bit.
That's great. I love that. Next one here is from Trassa Murphy, and it's, is it essential to do a graduate program to get into a career in the tech industry? So I don't know about the rest, but I actually did a graduate program, but it was in traditional advertising, so not necessarily tech, and it was in the tourism industry. I'm a big fan of graduate programs. I think they're a fantastic stepping stone because the company is aware that you're fresh out of college, that you're a student eager to learn, but not necessarily have too much kind of working skills at hand. So they definitely give you a helping hand to get started in the working world. But what I will say is absolutely not essential to get working in the tech industry. I work with psychologists, doctors, sociologists, linguists, you name it. It's all down to your competency skills, your work experience, and how you can apply yourself to the job at hand in that tech industry. So absolutely do not fear. I know times are extremely tough at the moment, and lots of different programs might not even be running this year. I know the one I did myself with IBEC isn't running this year because it was an international program. So all you can do is focus on the skills and experience that you can build at hand, no matter where that is. And I know I spoke in my previous workshop about the skills I learned working as a cashier in SuperValu for 8 years. And I bet you wouldn't think that you would use that experience in an interview with Google, but I absolutely did. How do you deal with pressuring times? And I said, well, customers at Christmas, bring it on. That's no better example. But little things like that, no matter what you're doing in your part-time jobs, experience will stand to you, and go for it in the tech industry. You absolutely do not need a graduate program for that. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, good one. Any book or podcast recommendations to do with careers? Trassa actually loved the Michelle Obama book in particular, but any podcast recommendations? It's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't think I know any specifically to do with careers. I think I think the Brene Brown podcast is great. But I think that's probably more about just building and personal development, which, is relevant to career and how you approach it. So I don't know if any others that I like anyway, or that I know of that are relevant to career.
Yeah, similar here, actually. What I love to do personally is pick out someone that I admire and I aspire to be like that there's values or morals that they hold that I relate to. So like Michelle Obama is a perfect example. I may not want to be the first lady, but I know that she holds lots of different characteristics and she's been through challenging times and I can learn a lot from her. So that's what I would recommend anyway, is to seek out, a captain of the rugby team could give me so much life lessons that I may necessarily, it may not be labeled as career necessarily.
Yeah, I think just to add on to that, what I've done, and like when I listen to podcasts, I listen to something like mindfulness just to detach, because that's really, really important to be able to disconnect from work, and just to center yourself and then see what you've done, and really and just always like to refocus on everything you've achieved. But what I would or what I would do, and what I talk to my engineers, and in the past what I've done, is actually look, who do you admire? So if you look at leaders, so when you take a long-term view, like, do you see yourself like moving towards like a CTO or an evangelist, in the industry? Then look at their YouTube channels, look at videos they produce, and just see how they communicate and how they deliver messages, and you can extract from that. Then start to building your own profile, or there's some little nuggets of gold that you'll see coming from those individuals, and you just add it to your own kind of collection, your own toolkit over time.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. Steal with pride, because I guarantee you they definitely had a mentor that got them to where they are now. One of the questions that kind of lends to, the mental strength and anxiety. Do you have any tips for dealing with anxiety throughout your career? And I know you mentioned mindfulness there. Anything that you actively do to become mentally stronger, I suppose, because I think it's so important now more than ever.
Yeah. I just saw it. So in the roles that I have done, I've typically worked in operations and in crisis management roles. So I've taken it down now, but I have a thing up the wall, and I've always had it in my office, and it's like, don't panic.
Yeah.
And that's the one. It's the one piece of advice is, like, don't panic. The world keeps going. No matter how bad the situation is, tomorrow is another day. You hit the you kind of go again. Mentally, I always try to get to the end situation, or the situation that I want, and then work back to where I am, and navigating. This is the path I'm going to take to navigate through the situation. Because we're going to get this resolved. We're going to get to that place. And it's about keep asking questions. I mean, if it's always okay to put the hand up and saying, I need help, because the biggest mistake that I've seen happen time and time again is people will go and it's like, I've got this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to figure this out. And the longer it goes on, the more pressure builds. The more the pressure builds, it becomes a vicious cycle. And eventually you have to step in and say, do you need help? And they will go, yeah, actually, I need help here. The mood changes, it diffuses the situation, and it's just giving them the confidence to say, I need help. And ask for help is actually, for me, it's not a position of weakness. It's actually a position of strength, to know your limit and to know where you need to get support.
Love that. That's a brilliant piece of advice. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I quickly chime in as well?
Yes,
just in terms of just one thing that I do regularly is journal. So I've been doing it since I was like 18 till the last couple of years, quite a few years now. Every week at least, I'll just journal, like, how did the week go? If I felt a certain way, why did I feel that certain way? Start to really process beyond just feeling a certain way. Why did you feel that? And start to analyze that. Because I think, as you said, it helps in terms of knowing your limits. So when I start to feel a certain way, I know how I dealt with it in the past, and I can take those learnings and try to navigate going forward. So I would really, really recommend journaling to those that don't or want to start daily, weekly. It's really, really good in terms of processing.
Amazing, Tony. Thank you so much. I totally agree. And you just reminded me to start it back up again. I started at the start of lockdown, but I need to keep it up. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I really, really appreciate it. You all have a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure everyone has learned tons about it. I am very exciting to wrap up this session and let everyone move on to their workshop twos. Your meeting IDs will be shown on the screen here, but you also have your emails with links into the sessions as well. So you'll be able to enter into your workshops following this session. Thank you all so much. I know I mentioned it in my workshop, but if you do have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to chat to you over on my Instagram. I am a little agony aunt over there in my spare time. But for now, we will bid farewell and have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Thanks.
Lovely. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Hey guys, so we have now reached the end of She Who Discovers. I know, Island, and it's been an absolutely incredible day. Like, can I hear like a yes, like I've loved today, if you really enjoyed it in the chat, because I've enjoyed meeting so many of you guys, speaking to so many of you guys. And it's literally been just a memorable day. And I hope all of you guys will leave today inspired, empowered, and understanding and know that this is really the start of your journey. And one thing I really, really want to leave you with and help you guys understand is you may feel like sometimes like, you know, like this is quite overwhelming, or, you know, I'm not. Hey guys, so we have now reached the end of She Who Discovers. I know, Island, and it's been, and you may feel at times that, you know, I'm not too sure with what's going on, or I just don't feel, you know, with the current world we're in, and it can be overwhelming. But I just want to help you guys know that literally with hard work and resilience, anything is truly, truly possible. So yeah, thank you for coming today. Thank you for tuning in and just being so amazing. It's great. It's been great to like meet so many of you guys. So super excited to see everything that you guys are going to be doing in the future. I just want to help you guys know that literally with hard work and resilience, anything is. So I think just a few things from me to end. Number one, if you haven't already, please do sign up to our mentorship program. We'll be sending out an email in the next few weeks to help you understand and see everything that we have in place for that very, very soon, and all the details will be shared soon. Make sure you get in touch with the speakers via LinkedIn, Instagram, send in an email. They would love to hear your thoughts of how you found today, and it's just going to be a great way to keep the conversation going. And like one of our panelists said, you know, checking in and having some virtual coffees, which is great. Also, we're going to be sending out a evaluation form now to all of you girls. I'm going to put it in the chat after this session so you guys can quickly, it takes 2 minutes. So please do fill that out and let us know how you found today and what we can do better for next time. And yeah, what we can do essentially. And just as one last thought I want to really leave you guys with, like I said, there's been a lot that's been said today. It's super inspirational, but sometimes it can feel quite overwhelming. And I really want you guys to understand, Beyonce was not built in a day. So if Beyonce or Rome wasn't built in a day, you know, with us, like we need to be super kind to ourselves and know that we are not going to have everything fixed today. You're not going to log out of our YouTube page and then now, you know, have an amazing CV, you know, or, you know, be super confident. Everything is a process and everything takes time. So essentially use the lessons that you have learned today, and know with hard work, time, and resilience, anything is possible. Make sure you're following us on our Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter to keep updated. We will be coming back to Ireland soon. We've been seeing so many of you guys tagging us in your posts, which we love and continue to, because we'll be reposted. But that is it for me now. I'll be dropping the evaluation form in the chat soon. But girls, I hope you've loved today and enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. See you soon. Bye.